This video will show you how to go about downloading the exercise files that you will need in order to complete the assignments from your textbook. Now, for chapters 1, and then also I'll go ahead and do it for chapter 2 of Word. There will also be another link in the instructions, and so the instructions will change slightly from what you see here to a PDF document that will have your instructions. After Word chapter 3 and onward, you will need the textbook. You only need the textbook. You do not need an online code or anything for the publisher. And I believe our publisher with this one, I believe, is Pearson. So you do not need any kind of code or anything like that. So it's okay if you purchased a copy of the book used, either on Amazon or any other place that you might purchase books. It also is available, of course, as an electronic as well. Also, you can also request chapters of textbooks from the Merced College Library. And so maybe at some point I can show you that, or if you want me to show you that, I can, okay? So the first thing I would suggest doing is, if you have a USB stick, you would insert that into the computer, into the USB port on the computer. Otherwise, what I would suggest doing is making a folder on your desktop to contain your exercise files and your work. So what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and minimize my screen, and you see my desktop, and obviously I have a lot of things on my desktop. But what I'm going to do to make a new folder is I'm just going to right click on the desktop in any of the blank area. I'm going to go to New, and I'm going to do Folder. Now this works, obviously I'm using Windows 10. If you're using a Mac, it will work exactly the same way. So to right click on a Mac, if you're not using a regular 2-button mouse, is you can hit Control on the keyboard and then click. Okay, so we're going to call this, and I'm just going to go ahead and call this Word Chapter 1. We can call it, you know what, I'll do that, and I'll call it Hands-On Exercise 1, or Hands-On Exercise. It's not important what you call this, but just so that you know what it is, that it contains the documents for the hands-on exercise. Okay. Then what I can do is I'm going to go back to my browser. Now it says, the first instruction, it says to download these files as you will need them to complete your assignment. And you'll find out as you read in the instructions in the PDF, you'll find out, or in your textbook on page 146 through 152, you'll find out exactly, it'll ask you for these. Okay, and I'll also go over this during our lecture time. And so you'll see that. So then, in order to download the first document, I'm going to click on the actual text. Do not click on this little picture. Okay, so you want to click on the text. So W01H1 camps.docx. I'm going to click on that. And you actually have a couple options. On this one, I'm just going to show you opening it in Word. So if I go open with Word, I'm going to click OK. And then Microsoft Word is going to launch. Now I have, on this computer, has Office 19. If you have 16 or Office 19, or you should be okay. So we'll go ahead and click Enable Content, because you're going to get this protected view. So we're going to enable the content. Now I need to save it because I'm not ready to use it yet. So I'm going to go up here to File, and then to Save As. And then I made that folder on the desktop. So I'm going to choose Desktop. And then I need to choose then what folder I want to save it to on my desktop, which is Word Chapter 1 Hands-On Exercise. I'm going to leave the file name as it is because that's what the instructions are going to know it as. And I'm going to hit Save. What you can do then is you can go back, you can close this, you can do it then for the next of them. Now, I'm going to show you another method on this one. So this was W01H2 letter. So that'll be in the section hands-on, the second part of the activity. Now, rather than hitting Save, I'm going to go ahead and hit Save File. Now, I'm using Mozilla Firefox. If you're using Google Chrome, you might have a little thing pop up down here that you can click on. But since I'm using Firefox, there's a thing right here that contains all of my downloads. So if I click on the folder here, it's going to open the folder that contains it. And then I'll minimize that. So here it is. I could just right click on this and hit cut. And then I can go into the folder that I made on my desktop, or again, if you made it on your USB, there you go. So that's another method that you can use. Either one of those works. So we'll go back, and I know that I'm gonna need one more, which is the new employee. So we'll click on new employee, and I'll just do this method. I think maybe opening it in Word might be a little bit easier for you. So, you know, just depends on how you want to work it, okay? But I just want to make sure you don't get lost. There we go. Perfect. All right, so that's all there is to it. So now if I go into that folder, I now have my files that I require. And so then I know where they're at. They're on my desktop, so that's real convenient. I know exactly where they're located. So then if I open up the textbook, I follow through. What I would suggest is saving your documents in there. It's going to give you the file names of how to save it. It'll tell you to save it. So for example, the first document that you're going to turn in is W01H1 planner. Last first would be your last name and your first name. So now when I'm finished with this, then I'm going to show you there'll be a button up here once you can do it that will say to upload, and you can do that, and you can use the file upload tool to submit. It's not going to let me do it now because I have that module locked. So it won't even let me as a teacher do it. But when the time comes, you can submit it. If for some reason you do run into trouble and do require assistance, please send me either a message through Canvas messaging or send me a message through email. And I'd be more than happy to assist you to make sure that you understand how to download the files and also how to save your work and how to submit your work once you've completed it. Okay. But I tell you here exactly which files to submit, so you can submit all 3 of those files or 4 of those files, and I'll look at them and do that. This process will be very similar then throughout the course.